fans, welcome back to Room 237, back with another review. As I continue my kind of marathon of more extreme horror films, more extreme films. And this is one I've been waiting on for a few days now. I ordered this off of Massacre Video. I think first time buying from them. And it's a movie that I've heard of, didn't really know anything about other than just the title and the cover, even though this is a different cover. I thought it was going to be a lot harder to find, so when I saw it on Massacre Video, I was like sold. Pretty nice edition too. But it came out in 2008, and it is Fetus. Yeah. Which this also came in with the other film in the order, which is one I've been looking for over a decade now, or at least a decade. Tumbling Doll of Flesh, which will be my next review. But so this is a Fetus, and like I said, this is a good release. It comes with a bunch of stuff. The Origins of Fetus, which I wish I watched. Behind the Scenes, Future Gore, Making a Fetus. Some of these are from 2008. A couple of them are from 2020. Trailers for other stuff from Massacre Video. Does come with the reversible artwork, which actually, I don't know how well you can see it. That's the one it came with. And I was really nervous on which cover to use for the thumbnail. I was either going to go with this or the one on the inside, but I decided to chance it, go with the one that's the thumbnail. And since this is one of the first 1,000 made, it does come with the soundtrack as well, which that's pretty cool. I mean, it does have a cool soundtrack. Some pieces are like composed music, but a lot of it is dark ambient sounds. So this was written and directed by Brian Paulin, but not only that, he's pulling like Olaf Ittenbach or Fred Vogel duty on this, because I mean, he wrote, directed, starred. He's the lead in the film. He edited. He scored the film along with Matt Meserve. Did the special effects. Along with I think Richard Caron also did some of the effects. Most of the actors in this pulled double or triple duty. Even in the acting, a lot of them helped do special effects or stunts. This is incredibly low budget. I did not know that this was a shot-on-video film. Because like I said, I didn't really know anything about this movie other than the title. And based on some of the channels that I've seen talk about this, like I saw this in a collection video from Mr. Ramon 420. I know there's a review by a couple of creeps. Those are channels I watch that talk about these extreme films. So, and I didn't know it was shot on video until I popped it in and hit play, so I was a little apprehensive. Yeah, I don't love it as much as other people do, but I definitely commend the film. It started to lose me towards the end, because where I thought it was going, it still went in that direction. But I mean, there's stuff in this that just comes out of nowhere, and it does get pretty wild. It's shot fine for shot on video. The effects, some of the effects are superb. There's a scene where a guy gets his head knocked in half, and there's shot from above with the tongue just superb. There's a shot where a guy's face looks like it's completely blown off and it's all mangled. Love that effect. Yeah, some of the effects like the baby heads or some stuff like that, or even the final thing is a monster at the end. It does get kind of Frankenstein-y, like Frankenstein mixed with Hellraiser kind of. Yeah, there's a giant monster, but I mean, I still liked it for what it was. I thought it was going to be more like a movie, not quite shot on video, but for not being a big fan of shot on video, I did enjoy it. This movie definitely delivers on at the very least, blood and gore. I mean, this movie is so full of blood. I will say a lot of times the blood does look a bit too watery and transparent, but there's just such a high volume of it that it's forgivable. And the story is there's this guy named Kevin, played by Brian Paulin, whose wife dies while giving birth. Baby also dies. So, in this grief stricken depression and desperation, he goes to this shop where this guy, played by Kevin Barber, which first, I haven't seen any of these films by Brian Paulin, Bone Sickness, Cryptic Plasm, or Blood Pigs. I've heard of them, I've just never seen them. And I think a few of the people in here, like Kevin Barber and Richard Caron, are frequent collaborators with Paulin. But this guy looks like a Nikki Sixx kind of wannabe with his hair. It's a cool looking record store. I mean, you got all these movie posters, all Georges Baccarat films like Necromantic 1 and 2, Der Todeskin, which is on order. I'll be reviewing that. There's a scene where he's stocking DVDs of extreme films. One of them is this. Also Shogun Sadism, which I've been looking for forever. He's got Bathory albums all over the walls. Cool looking shop. He sells them this book on how to do like necromancer stuff, communicate with the dead, because that's what he's obsessed with now. And the movie's pretty much him just doing all these different rituals to try to communicate with his dead wife. And I mean, it runs at 75 minutes. It's a short film. And the rituals at first, like he abducts two people. One is a random teenager, I think, and one is one of the doctors that gave birth. A couple of the people he goes after were involved with the delivery of the baby. So I kind of thought he was going to go after them, kind of like a basket case type thing. And I mean, this movie wastes no time. It jumps right in to this bloody, crazy, graphic birth of stillbirth. It's C-section, but she still sprays blood everywhere. She's got the oxygen on, and blood's coming out. There's a lot told through flashbacks, like their relationship together and just kind of leading up to the birth, which is really the only time we get dialogue is in the flashbacks when he's with the record store guy, and then at the end. I like how there's very little dialogue. It is a very visual story, a very visual film, which I really appreciated. So much so that even the rituals don't have incantations, at least not ones that he says out loud, which I thought was interesting. Because a lot of the times it'll just look silly. If he's sitting there with candles after killing someone, either speaking Latin or saying some sort of spelly shit, it can come off as corny. So with this, he just does it. There's no, vocals to the spells. And like I said, some of the effects, all the effects look good, and you can definitely see the effort in it. A lot of them look pretty fake, but there's still a charm in that. I mean, that's one reason why Sleepaway Camp is so awesome. One thing that did stick out to me would be the sound design. Because I mean, like when he's got Richard Caron tied up, and he comes up behind him with the razor knife, and he's cutting the back of his neck. But the sound design is so over the top, it sounds like he's scraping against concrete. It's super loud. But then he takes like a tire iron and a hammer, and his head just rips off. Then this other kid he has is taped to a chair, and he takes a knife right to his forearm, and the skin looks like shredded latex, but like the meat underneath looks awesome. Like, for every effect that looks great, there's some shoddy stuff around it, but for 2008 and for the budget, And for a guy that's also doing everything else involved with the production, the the effects do look great. And you know, I can live with stuff looking super fake. It still has a charm to it. Which also, not only was he pulling so many different jobs in this, uh, I did see in the end credits where there's the special thanks, and then it says, to whoever broke into our apartment or house during the making of this, because someone broke in, stole equipment, some of the equipment had footage in it, and production was shut down for 5 to 6 months, and it was just a shit show. Wishes death and suffering on them. I thought that was cool. But yeah, so a lot of the effects, like the baby heads, or there's an effect where there's like this giant, well, not giant, but fake legs and vagina that spews blood, and then, you know, the monster kind of crawls out of it. You can definitely tell it looks fake, but again, there's a charm to the effort, so I appreciated it. And so he's doing all these rituals, and I think there's hallucinations because there's this one woman, this one here, who was a nurse during the delivery, whom he abducts, and there's a lot of stuff that happens with her. Like at one point she appears completely naked, shoots herself in the vagina. At one point she's dead the whole time. So I think these are hallucinations. At one point he has sex with her body, which I think was supposed to be a ritual, because then, you know, she's laying on the table, he's trying to make something happen. He's like, come on. Like, hits her in the stomach, and then right out of her hole, just all this blood, and then it just oozes all this. Think of like this reddish white, like cyst pus kind of consistency blood just oozing out of her, down off the table. Like this sack of baby heads come out. This movie gets pretty gross. for how fake some of the effects look, it's still pretty, you know, nauseating looking. And then there's something with these centipedes, like he keeps seeing centipedes on him. At one point he has to pull the stinger out. It looks like his dick's infected. And then it leads up to like the final ritual, which I'm not even sure what was going on, but he's got like this big round aluminum thing, all the baby heads on it with something that looks kind of cobwebby. He's got this Tyvek suit with goggles. He's holding on to these things. He's got like a amplifier hooked up to something. I don't know if it's like with sound or electricity, whatever he's trying to do. But I will say, before spoilers, he does manage to bring his wife back. Not the way he wanted, and it does bring on, one, a twist I didn't see coming, and two, just a complete direction I didn't see coming. Now, the last few films I've done, I would say they weren't really extreme. They were basically just gore films, which this one is called a gore film. But what I mean by that is it's kind of like, you know, they were kind of like a Dead Alive or something. There's no extreme content or really hardcore graphic content other than just gore and effects. So this was the first time in a few reviews or a few movies that has had some more extreme stuff. So yeah, this is definitely not for everybody. If you're not a fan of shot on video, even then, I mean, it looks fine. It's shot fine for shot on video. There are a couple cool camera angles. Like one, there's a shot where he goes into his bedroom to get his pistol, but the camera is on a mirror across the hall, so we get all that through the reflection. It is shot well. You kind of get over the shot on video after a while. But, yeah, this This is definitely a gore film. I mean, even if all the effects don't land, this movie is still graphically gory. Just tons and tons of blood. I'm surprised blood did just come out when I opened it. Some parts are pretty horrifically gross. it it's pretty effective at what it's trying to do. So I can really only recommend it if you have to see every extreme film. You can get this off Massacre Video for, I think, somewhere between, I think it was like $17. Totally worth it. But now spoilers. So yeah, one of the scenes involving that nurse that he keeps trying to do a ritual with, there's the bathtub scene where, I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. Oh, he's trying to do something with the baby heads. Oh, it does give birth to like an actual baby, or he is able to get a baby out of it instead of just heads. He has to like cut the head off, which is done through like a screen, which kind of obscures the effect because the babies definitely look like put together imperfect dolls. That some of them do have animatronic in them, which is okay. But he cuts the head off, and I mean, it's gushing everywhere. And I don't know if he loses his temper or what, but he goes to try to flush the rest of it. And then that nurse just comes to life in the bathtub. And she's all pale with sores on her. She has a knife and she's just like stabbing herself until eventually she pulls the knife out with a baby head attached to it. And this is when he realizes his dick is... something's wrong with it. Like, he takes a pair of tweezers. Like, we don't really see it. We see one kind of diseased shot of it. But he takes tweezers. I think he tries, like, pulling one of the centipedes off of it. But that's when he does, like, the final ritual with the suit, the big thing, and the amplifier. And he does get his wife back, only she looks like this, which is just like a torso. I think one arm that's just like a skeleton arm, no legs, and that. And yeah, it is just kind of this, which I mean is fine for, you know, regular shots, but like for close-ups, especially when this thing talks, why not just put all these boils and, you know, messed up skin on the actress? I don't know. It does kind of look silly after a while because there's no articulation in the face. Just very... But yeah, so his wife's able to come back. He's holding her, licks her eyeball for some reason. And then... Whoa. Always bumping into the table. The nurse that he brought back down there, that's when we see like the fake legs of vagina and this giant hand come through. And this demon is like a mix of, and I didn't see this coming. I did not expect a demon thing to come through. And like I said, it kind of mixes like Frankenstein's because of the whole experiment he's doing. Hellraiser because it does spawn something. But this thing looks like a mixture of like a predator, a xenomorph, but with like the body of like, I want to say like a scorpion, but like with no limbs on the end of it, which literally just looks like a bunch of mats with black tape or trash bags around it. But yeah, this thing is like crawling like this. It's got big spikes on its shoulders and its elbows. It's got dreads, kind of got a black kind of scully face, but narrow brow, kind of like a predator. And this thing's, you know, growling, screaming. Also, yeah, with the sound design, the way his wife talks, it's like the way she talks, but also the way she looks, and the way like the animatronic effect moves. It's kind of like the red-headed torso zombie from Return of the Living Dead. But even some of the other sounds, like the one ritual had the record store guy tied up, and then something possesses him to just vomit blood. He falls. Then when he comes up, his face is like blown off, and there's just like this gurgly kind of sound. So yeah, this demon comes out, and his wife then tells him, this is the twist, something's been possessing you, I guess this thing. You forgot. It is feeding off our souls. You should have brought me back. Ever since, I guess, one of the rituals he did, he became possessed, forgot that his baby actually lived, like he was living in a world where both the baby and his wife died. Then we get a flashback to him coming home with the baby. So I don't know if like the baby was sacrificed or was killed, if he ended up sacrificing it but didn't realize it, or if it's just upstairs, forgotten about, starved to death. Doesn't really say. But then he gives birth to a baby out his dick. Like we just see like this little baby hand just kind of out his crotch area. We don't really see dick ripping or anything, but it's obvious that's where it's coming from. And so that thing's just kind of animatronically crawling around. The demon, to kill the wife, it just rolls on top of her, and then it wraps around Kevin, hits the top of his head, so it's just like bottom jaw, then nothing. Kind of like Britney Spears in Britney's New Look, season 12 of South Park. And that's when you get probably the best effect of the movie, which is that overhead shot of really, probably the most realistic, blood, and just the way the tongue's moving was cool. And then that thing's crawling, just grabs the baby, throws it against the wall, which was kind of humorous. And then it just ends with this thing just kind of crawling and screaming in the basement. And I have to say, the basement looks... I would be shocked if this was not the same basement that August Underground Penance was shot in, which this came out a year after Penance. Fred Vogel and Shelby Vogel and Toe Tag Pictures were in the special thanks to this, along with a number of other filmmakers like Ryan Nicholson. I wouldn't be surprised. The basement looks just like it. But yeah, that's the movie. I was not expecting it to go that extreme with just supernatural elements, having this demon come out. And in fact, I think Brian Paulin, Richard Caron, the doctor that got his head knocked off, the kid that he killed, cut the skin off and whatever. Brian Paulin, the doctor, the kid. At least those three, and I think one or two other people, all worked on being that demon at some point. Like I said, almost everyone in the cast pulled at least double or triple duty in this. You can definitely see the effort in all the effects. Even if some of them look fake, you can definitely see the effort, which I really appreciated. I kind of did have to laugh at the look of his wife when she's brought back, because she's all meaty, boily, or bone, except for her tits. Her tits are still, normal human looking. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what expectations to have going into this, but I can definitely say it lived up to the extreme, kind of reputation of it, or it's definitely gory, definitely splattery, wet, just got a bunch of that in it. It does have some nauseating sequences. I mean, like when that chick is stabbing herself and she pulls the baby head out, she just pulls out this mush and then smears it. It's fairly gross. But other than that, not sure what else I can say about Fetus. I mean, I'm glad to have finally picked it up. It's been a while coming, so I'm glad to finally own Fetus. This one, well, things popping up on my phone. This one I've been more curious about and for longer, so definitely excited to give this a watch. Again, this can be the next review. So yeah, that's 2008's Fetus by Brian Pollan. Yeah, stay tuned for Tumbling Doll of Flesh and a handful of other ones to come when they get here. Thank you for watching.